Hi everyone, this is John from iwillteachyoutosucceed.com. Today I want to walk you through the SWOT100X Advanced Business Analysis tool. It's taking the original SWOT concept of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats and just extending it into a far more results-oriented process. So what we're going to do is go through it on the tool itself, and let me take you into it. Here we go. So what I've done is I've pre-populated the tool. There are 4 components to it, which we know, which is the strengths, it's the weaknesses, it's the opportunities, and it's the threats. So starting at the top, you're going to go through your company in terms of a normal business strategy session, and you're going to list all the strengths. So on the left-hand side here, you'd go down and list the strengths of your company. This is the first step in the process. The second step is you're going to list all the weaknesses. So if there are weaknesses that are inherent in your organization, big or small, good or bad, we're going to have to list them there. The opportunities we then go on to, and I've just listed 2 here for purposes of this example, and obviously the threats. So the opportunities and threats are deemed to be external, and the strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization. Once we've done that, what we then do in terms of strengths is we go through and look at how can the strengths be used to maximize the opportunities identified, and how can the strengths be used to minimize the threats identified. And that's what we do here in terms of actions. And we do the same thing with weaknesses. We go through and we look what actions can be taken to minimize the weaknesses by using the opportunities identified, and what can be done to minimize the weaknesses to avoid the threats identified. And that's what we do here. So we go through and we list actions against these weaknesses. Going down to opportunities, we do the same thing here. We list what actions we can take to capitalize on the opportunities, and in terms of the threats, actions for countering these threats. Once that's been done, we then move on to the process of rating and scoring these actions. So we're going to rate and score these actions. So the first thing we're going to do is come down here and we're going to rate them out of 5. And in this case we've said it's 5 in terms of importance and 5 in terms of urgency. And the green means we need to get this done very quickly. Green is good. Then we move on to the difficulty, which is a 2, and the cost, which is a 4. And that gives us a mid-range score of 6. So this could be something that we look at doing, even though the cost, it's going to cost money to get this done. What we then do on the right hand side is we allocate a action, a person, and at this point in time, let me just show you where this comes from. On the second tab you have my team, and here you're going to go through and put in all your team players and initials. And what I've done very importantly is I've put all notice, and the initials are ALL. And the reason for that is very simple. When we have something like this at the bottom that affects everybody, we're simply going to put ALL. And in this case, it's more just to alert people to it, and so no date is appropriate here. If we put a date in, if the day passes, and let me, for purposes of this, let me just put in a date that is earlier than today's date, you get a red color here, and that is just an indicator that it shouldn't be earlier than today's date. It should be later. And then obviously as we start to put latest dates in, we always have a planned date when we originally planned to do this action, and then on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis we could update this and get a latest date as to when that action is happening. We then go down and do exactly the same thing for all of these. So for weaknesses, we do the same. We rate the importance of the action item. Now remember, this is of the action item, the importance, the urgency, which works out the overall rating. We then have a difficulty and a cost scoring, and then we can see that these 2 are pretty good. They're in the green. These 2 are mid-range, and then we have a 6 and a 7 is going to be quite difficult and costly to implement. So that's what we do going down. Same for opportunities, and the same for threats. So it's that simple but incredibly powerful. And then what happens obviously is we can print this out, so we can take it to print, and often is the case in today's world where we don't print it to paper, we'll print it to PDF. But that's what we do, and what you see coming up now is the printed, and it's 2 pages long, so it's nice and succinct, easy to use, 2 pages long, and everything is covered. Right, so should you get stuck in any way, there is a comprehensive user guide on tab 3. It takes you through everything, gives you full detail of how the scoring works, everything you need to know. So that's the user tab. I've explained to you how my team members work, and then back to the first tab, which is the actual SWOT analysis, the actions, rating, scoring, and recording of actions. So I hope that makes sense to you. It was quite short and sharp. It's not a difficult tool to use, but very, very powerful in terms of taking that original SWOT analysis and turning it into something that can make a real difference for your organization. Thanks for listening.